Hi and welcome to the channel, and also welcome to the people who've been subscribing these last few weeks. Since NEC show, I think we've taken on 20 odd more subscribers. I know for some YouTubers that may be a pittance, but for me, I'm appreciative of those 20 odd extra subscribers coming on board, and I hope more come on. And please always do feel free to share the videos. Right, now then, what are we going to do? Well, this is the next episode in the Sprite Muscatine. Now my mate Andy, yeah, another Andy, I've known for must be 10-12 years now, and I've visited him on several occasions. He's shown me his classic tours and what have you, and he's now renovating the Sprite Muscatine. Now you saw the video. If you haven't seen it, go and look at it. It's in two parts. Also there's a little taster as well, but what I wanted to do, people are asking me, Andy, you know, we'd love to see this van finished. We'd also like to know, really, how he goes on restoring it. Is it just a quick lick of paint job? Well, no, it's not. And there are some people who claim to restore caravans who literally do paint over the cracks. You've heard that saying. And some dubious jobs have been done, which people then find out and come on to people like me and find out that the age of the caravan that they bought as well, they've been given the wrong details, the wrong information, even though they were told that by certain people. Now look, you know, this, you know, we all make mistakes, and I've made mistakes, but usually I usually do my sort of checkups and make sure that the van that you've got, I can date it pretty much to the same, to the year or thereabouts, and give you some brochure evidence. So anyway, sorry I'm a bit scruffed up, been out on the rain, it's absolutely throwing it down, it's blowing a gale out there, and I just had to nip out before, so a bit all scruffed up. But now I'm going to get this video ready, because Andy, as I said in my vlog, has agreed to actually do some video snaps for me. And he's a bit of a shy guy, but he's a great bloke. He knows exactly what he's doing. I've learnt a lot from listening to him, and we've swapped ideas and we've swapped our knowledge and things on me, what I know in the background of the industry, which is 50 plus years I've been following the industry, the longest anybody I know. Also, you know, and he's very, very good at doing repairs. He can weld, he's good at carpentry, he's really a decent guy to restore caravans, and also just a decent bloke, to be quite honest. Now I hope he's not, I know he's not embarrassed by me saying that if he's watching this video. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to edit the video. He sent me these snaps, so I'm hoping it's going to go okay. I've just been looking through some of his videos, and to be quite honest, I think his presentation is far better than mine. So I feel I'm learning a little bit off Andy, to be quite honest. As I say, I've watched all the snaps that he's done, and he's done an excellent job. I think so, and I hope you do as well. But this is now going to be continuing this restoration. He's going to do more video snaps, and we'll do more videos on this, so we get a full restoration. Now we looked at that caravan, it looked in reasonable good order, but Andy's found a few problems, and what all appeared to look okay on the outside, on further delving, isn't. And this is where Andy's experience comes in. Now, I knew another restorer called Mike White, and Mike White sadly died a couple of years ago, and Mike was very, very good at doing restoration. He'd done classic cars and stuff, and to me Andy is on a par to Mike. You know, Andy does a thorough check, and as he mentions on this video, is that if he'd attempted to tow that caravan 80 odd miles back to his workshop without checking it, there could have been a disaster on that way back. Now this is a warning to any would-be caravan restorer, because at the end of it, most caravans, I would say all caravans, I would trailer, and he hired a trailer to put the caravan on, strap it up properly, make sure you know what you're doing, and take it back, take it easy. And then any problems, when you get off the trailer, you can find it and sort it. But it's a potential danger to just think you can hitch it and oh, it seems okay, and you pull it away. 99 times out of 100 it isn't. I know Andy's done the odd one, but he's done a thorough check, a real thorough check. But anyway, I'll let you explain. I'll let him explain how it goes on. Let's just crack on. I'll leave you in his good, capable hands. Don't forget, he's not done this thing before, so if you feel he's a little bit nervous, he probably is a little bit, but to be quite honest, I think he's done a sterling job, and maybe he should be heading my videos for me. Do a better job. What do you think? Well, no, don't come on to that. Right, let's just get on.
Right, so a little video about my Sprite Musketeer we recently saved. I'm going to try and show you a bit of the Caravan, why I think it's worth saving, why I did save it, and also show you a few of the things I've done, I'm going to do, and also a little bit of a word of warning to those interested in taking on a restoration as to things to look out for. So I'll get rid of my face and I'll turn the camera around and start showing you a bit of the Caravan. Right, so I've got it back and we've had a quick clear out of all the muck and the mess. Underneath the old covers there was the original seat cushions, which in some cases, like these ones, are really nice, and sadly in some cases they've had water leaking on them, have gone a bit mouldy, and in the case of these two, they've suddenly had some ratty visitors, I think, at some point, or possibly mice, which means they will have to go in the bin, unfortunately. Generally, it's actually fairly solid. These Caravans, these Musketeers, always suffer in this area just here, just behind these front windows. It's a weak point, and you always tend to see them bulging out. I did restore one a few years ago, and I did actually put metal in there, like a metal cross brace to stiffen it, and I have seen that recently, that Caravan, and it's still looking good, although I don't own it anymore. The typical leaks under the front windows on the front, it's actually pretty solid, it's more cosmetic. It looks like it's had a repair in one of the corners already, in fact both the corners, looking at it there. So that's just simply pulling off the board and replacing the frame. One of the things I love about these very, very early ones, I've never had a very early one before, is these really narrow strips in the front corners. There's barely any frame at all, so they seem even better than the slightly later ones, as a sort of a wrap-around view when you're on a campsite. So moving up, the roof actually is pretty good, apart from the bit around the skylight. Now I have pulled the board down. It's had a repair at some point. The beam's a lot thicker than it would have originally been, and the skylight, you can see where it was cracked. I've got a cover over it at the minute just to stop it dripping in, although there's a lot of condensation because I had a frosty night last night, and of course now everything's defrosting and consequently covered in condensation. Now I've been already and I've cut some beams to the original spec from some wood, so as soon as I get a chance and have a reasonably prolonged dry period, I'm going to take the cover off and replace the whole bit around the skylight. And then actually it's just a case of reboarding. There's not a great deal to it. Somebody had put insulation in, which I wasn't expecting, but I'm going to put insulation in again, because obviously it just keeps it a bit warmer when you're using it in the back end of the year or the beginning of the year. I have actually been away over just after New Year in a Sprite Musketeer that I did a few years ago, and with a heater on it, an oil-filled radiator, it was actually quite cosy, sort of -5 outside up near Whitby, and we were a nice sort of 20 degrees inside. It was very pleasant. Anyway, going back to the Caravan, you can see the furniture's really good. That's one thing that did appeal to me. It's actually in really nice condition, not badly scratched. Got the original toilet cubicle. Now it has got mains electrics in it, and somebody's put them in, and actually it's not how I would have put them in, as in where I would have put them in, because the toilet's a bit cramped in these Caravans anyway. I'd have put it in one of the cupboards under the bed. But it does all work, and it has been done, seems to have been done properly, so I might move that at some point, but for now it can stay. This wall looks a lot worse than it was. Somebody had wallpapered it, obviously a previous repair underneath, and it's held the mould. It's not actually particularly rotten. It just looks terrible. In fact, the board is just very slightly warped. It's not. You can't put. You know, it's not rotten and putting your fingers through. Right. So again, you can see the original cushions here, which are actually really nice. What I have managed to do though is track down a full set of original cushions in a slightly different colour. They're a green colour. But they are the original ones for this Caravan. They would have generally had either the green or this red upholstery. So we have got a good set of cushions to go in once it's done. You can see the original lino here. Hopefully that's savable. And that's really kind of it. There's the original gas lights. I have got the shades. I've put them safe while I was taking the roof piece down. So if I just quickly move outside. One of the things I like about this is it's got a stable door, which most of them, as far as I can see, didn't. I don't know if it was an option or something they did on the early ones. I've only ever seen a couple of the early ones, and both of them have got a stable door. We've got this sad bit of sagging at the back now. I'm going to go on to that in a bit, but just have a look at that outer line. It is. We're actually, when we're shutting the door, we've got a good gap there. The whole back end has sagged. You see it's actually pretty straight generally overall. There's not a thing to really cause a huge amount of problems. I've been round very quickly when I first picked it up, and I've temporarily sealed the whole of it to make sure while it's sat outside. You can see in there I've put a bit of sealant in all around the joints, just temporarily to stop it filling up with water and stop it deteriorating while it's outside, because some of the jobs I won't be able to do till we get better weather in the summer. Right, let's have a quick walk back round now. Right, so I'm back inside, firstly to finish my cup of tea before it went cold, and secondly because I want to have a quick think how to explain what I want to say without taking forever and actually make some sense. So really, when you're taking on these projects, you've got to be prepared that sometimes it'll be simple, and sometimes it won't. Sometimes something will catch you out. Things that look good cannot always be as easy to solve as you might think, or they might first appear. Also, if you're not careful, and I have seen a few people come unstuck when they've tried to particularly tow a caravan that's been stood a long time. They've not sort of looked over it particularly carefully, or maybe are fairly new to it, and they've encountered quite serious and potentially dangerous problems. Now on this Caravan we trailered it back, and we checked around it very carefully to make sure it was all structurally okay. Nothing was going to be loose, nothing was dangerous from point of view of transporting it on a trailer. I tried to tow this, and in my early days I've been interested in old caravans, and there's a fair chance I would have taken my welder, welded up the drawbar and tried to tow it home. Now it's not always the best idea to do that, because obviously you've got a lot of potential things to go wrong: wheels, wheel bearings, tyres. Obviously I would have changed the tyres and checked those kind of things, but there was kind of a bigger problem lurking on this particular Caravan, and I'm going to try and show you that now. Right, so I mentioned this back end was kind of sagging, and what we've got here is a rather telltale sign of that, where the lino's actually split, and the floor is actually pushing up. You can see the board sort of come off the chassis rail, and it's actually pushing up. Now at first you think maybe just the wooden frame's gone a bit on the door, under the door, supporting the door, and maybe that's what the problem is. And to be honest, I kind of thought it might have been, but having investigated further, is actually the main chassis rail has two big cracks right either side of the suspension mounting area, and what's actually happening is the rail is effectively bent because it's weakened and it's flexed, and it's allowing the back end on that side to sag due to these cracks. Now I'm going to crawl underneath and try and show you these, so just bear with me 1 second. Now this isn't the easiest to show. let's have a see if I can do so. So where are we looking? If you can look up there, you can see there is a nasty crack just there, and if I can manage to show you, there is also on the opposite side, you can see a crack just there towards the centre of the thing, and it's actually bulging just there, the actual main rail. Now, I'm sorry the picture's not great, the light's a bit rubbish, I'm struggling to get the camera into it. So that is allowing that whole rail down there to sink, and obviously you can see that back jack leg is slightly bent. I think people have been trying to compensate for that by putting a lot of pressure on that, and they've actually slightly bent it. Now repairing this is going to be slightly interesting because I need to get it back to the original shape before I can obviously weld it up. Now I think this has possibly been caused by a massive pothole. You can see here, this bar here is designed, if I crawl a little bit further under, let me get some light on this, which I'm struggling with. There is basically there is a rubber mount on the end of a bar there that holds the suspension from dropping too far and the springs falling out. Now you can't really see on this video unfortunately, but that's actually quite significantly bent, and I think it's had a massive knock on this side, which is probably shock loaded. You can see that bar just going down there and it's bent. I think it's had a massive bang and a pothole. You can also see the crack towards the centre of the picture there, and the bulge in the rail where it's sort of sagging. I think it's had a massive knock and it's significantly damaged the chassis. Now let me crawl out from under here. Right, so I've crawled out from underneath the Caravan, and obviously now I can talk about it a little bit easier than upside down. So that chassis rail, it's going to be interesting. I think the best way is I'm going to actually support it at both ends and see if it's natural weight of the Caravan, or I'll push it back to shape. If not, maybe put a bit of weight in the middle of the van and see if it'll just sink it back, and then I can obviously weld it up and stiffen it all around there to make sure it's solid. If not, I might even have to cut it slightly and then bend it to the right, back to the right shape, and then weld it up. And obviously I'm going to put a big stiffener. I'm going to put a stiffener to match on the other side, so obviously to prevent the risk of it happening again, and also on the other side that obviously there is a weak point there if it's happened once. Now going back to my original point about the towing a Caravan, now had somebody just thought I'll tow this home, that chassis is really not safe as it is, and it could have potentially cracked significantly more, actually potentially split all the way down if you'd hit another big pothole or you'd had any kind of bump or anything. Now let that be a warning, I guess, to people, including myself, that really you need to check things, even fairly new things like this can happen on a modern vehicle or a more modern vehicle where there's been any kind of significant impact or any previous damage. It's really worth checking every inch before you take to the road. I mean, Caravans don't have to have an MOT. That would have been on a car picked up at an MOT, but they don't have to have an MOT a Caravan, and for that reason you need to be extra careful. Right, so I'm going to stop ranting on, and I'm going to actually get on and try and straighten that today. The weather's nice at the moment, and I'll sort of update as I go along, and hopefully you found this a little bit interesting and I haven't been too terrible for my first time behind a camera. Thanks a lot, bye.